we began discussing this idea of what makes something linear. So first of all, if it's linear, then it is a line. So its graph is going to look like a straight line. And then number two, its equation is in what we call slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is in the form y equals mx plus b. And my slope is what is in front of the x. And my y-intercept, which is what the intercept part stands for, is my b value. Whatever that is my y-intercept every single time. When we graph lines, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to plot the y-intercept, or we're going to plot the b value. And we're going to rise and run. We're going to use our slope then to find other points on the line. So I have y equals 3x plus 2. Well, first of all, I need to identify my y-intercept. So my y-intercept where I begin is at 2. My slope is what's in front of x, which is 3. Now it's not in a fraction, so I'm going to put it over 1 so that way I have a fraction. So the first thing I'm going to do is plot a point at positive 2. And that's where I begin at. And since my slope is 3 over 1, the 3 is positive, that tells me to go up. The 1 is positive, that tells me to go right. So from this point that's already here, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I'm going to put a point there. And I'm going to count that same distance again, up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And put another point there. And I'm going to do it another time. 1, 2, 3, and over 1, and put another point there. The opposite of going up and right is to go down and left. So I can also, from my beginning, go down 3 and left 1 and put a point. And I can go down 3 and left 1 again here and put a point. And I can do that a third time, down 3 and left 1 and get a point. And I can actually do it one more time, down 3 and left 1 and get another point. And if I were to connect all of these points on my graph, I would get a line. And that's how we graph our line. So on this one, my y-intercept, my b value, where I'm going to begin, is at -5. So down here at -5. My slope this time, my m value, or my slope, my rise over my run, is -1 over 4. So the -1 on top tells me to go down. The +4 on bottom tells me to go right. So from my beginning, I'm going to go down 1 and right 1, 2, 3, 4, and put a point. I'm going to do that again. Go down 1 and right 1, 2, 3, 4, and put another point. And if I try to do it again, if I go down 1 and right 4, I'm going to run off the graph. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. But I can also do the opposite of going down and right, which is to go up and left. So from my beginning, I'm going to go up 1 and left 4. And up 1 and left 4 again. And if I were to keep going, I would run off the graph. So I'm going to go ahead and connect those dots. And that's going to form my line. So this is my line, y equals -1/4 x minus 5. For this one, I have y equals 3. So we have two special lines. The first of our special lines is any line that's in the form of y equals some number. Any line that's y equals some number means it's going to touch the y-axis and the y-axis only at that number. That means that line will always be horizontal. Always be horizontal. My second special case is I can have a line in the form of x equals some number, which means this line is going to touch the x-axis and only the x-axis at this number. So that means that line is going to be a vertical line. Remember, it would have a slope that is undefined. And our horizontal line has a slope that is 0. So with that in mind, I need to graph the line y equals 3. Well, since y equals 3, that means it's going to touch the y-axis only. It cannot touch the x-axis. So it has to be a horizontal line, and it's going to touch the y-axis at -3. So down here at -3 is where it's going to cross the y-axis, and it's going to be a horizontal line that goes through that. So our graph would look like this. This would be the line y equals -3. I have y equals 2/3 x plus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is identify my y-intercept, which is 1. That's the number that's by itself. It's our beginning. So we're going to begin at positive 1. Then I'm going to identify my slope. Well, my slope is my rise and my run. It's what's attached to x. So it is 2/3. 2 is positive, so I'm going up. 3 is positive, so I'm going right. So from my beginning, I'm going to rise 2 and run 3. And rise 2 more and run 3 more, and rise 2 more and run 3 more. And I can't do that again because I'm going to run off the graph, but I can do the opposite of going up and right, which is to go down and left. So I'm going to go down 2 and right 3, and down 2 and right 3, and down 2 more and right 3. So now I have enough points so I can go ahead and connect my dots. So this would be the graph of the line y equals 2/3 x plus 1. Lastly, I have to graph a line with a slope of -3/2 and the point -2,4. So I'm going to start with this point, -2,4, because I have to have a place to begin. So -2 positive 4 means I'm going to go to the left 2 and then up 4, and that's where my first point is going to be on my line. So then I have this slope, my m, is -3/2. Now notice in the original problem there was a negative sign in front. It doesn't matter if you put that negative sign with the 3 or the negative sign with the 2. You need to assign it to one of those numbers so you can find your slope. So -3 tells me I'm going to go down 3. Positive 2 tells me I'm going to go right 2. So from this point that I already have on here, I'm going to go down 3 and right 2. And that's where I'm going to hit my graph again. So down 3 and right 2, and I continue this pattern of going down 3 and right 2 until I can no longer do that. And then I can also do the opposite of down and right, which is to go up and left. So from my beginning point, I'm going to go up 3 and left 2, and up 3 and left 2. And then I'm going to connect my dots. And once I connect my dots, I will have my line. So this would be my line, y equals, or this would be my equation of, this would be my line that has a point -2,4 and a slope of -3/2.